Good evening. Our speaker this evening is an interesting person who you won't find on any basketball All-American list, but in terms of being an All-American teammate, both while he was playing and now since he's been out in the real world and earning a living in that, Kelly Scott is a special person. He stayed involved with the program. He does a lot of speaking to groups where he's selling both sport and spirit. And so he will address this and come up and tell us about himself and what he's doing now. Kelly Scott.
Thank you, I appreciate it so much. Normally this is a 2-hour speech, so you can see I'm going to be speed reading and talking through a number of different things that you won't hear. But that means you can go ahead and get my book when it comes out this summer, so that'll be great. We appreciate it. One of the things I lead off with, and I say it very seriously, if we don't become better teammates, this world is lost. We really got to become better teammates. Now, teammates within the Golden Dunkers, of course, is all the things that you guys do for each other, for the team, for the university, for the community as a whole. And I know there's a lot of things that you do now, and it's wonderful what you do, but we just got to keep raising our level. And the idea behind that for Spirit and Sport teammates is we do 3 things. My daughter came to me in high school, senior year of high school, and said, "Dad, you got to give me some wisdom for this year. Senior year, we want to win the state championship." First of all, I said, "I don't know who you are, because you're asking me for wisdom?" I said, "That doesn't normally happen around our household from you." Anyway, so I said, "Okay, but I'm going to tell you something, you got to go with it." I said, "Make your layups, make your free throws, everything else will be gravy." She looked at me for a couple seconds and taken it in and said, "I knew I didn't want to talk to you anyway." Left me alone. But at the end of the year, she came back and said, "Dad, that's some of the best wisdom that you had given me." And that's really something that can be done today. I mean, count how many layups are missed today. Count how many free throws are missed. I bet we'll be somewhere 20, 30, 40 points that were left on the court. That can make a big difference, a game-winning difference. We must be better at the end of our training sessions or our talk today than we were at the beginning. And those kids get better when we do this training. We do a thing where we have a jump rope, a long jump rope. Somebody at one end, somebody at the other, and then we're twirling it. And one of the players will be holding the basketball and they'll be jumping. Then we tell them, "Okay, now start dribbling." So they're jumping and dribbling. Then we start throwing them a tennis ball. And they have to catch the tennis ball and throw it back to us while they're dribbling, while they're jumping. Because we layer things together. And it makes them so much better. And that's kind of what we got to do in life. We got to layer those layers together and make something really important happen. I talk about teammates, and first thing is togetherness. Coach talked about that. How much time is spent together. We had guys that came in from Florida, Maryland, Michigan, the Bahamas, and of course Minnesota. And we all came together for a common purpose and idea. And when we worked towards that idea, we made it. We were Big Ten champions, went to the Sweet 16. That's important because we did that togetherness. And today, I can name many of the players from our team that I still communicate with and talk to, and it's just a wonderful what we built. And I'm sure others that are here have built those same things with their teams. But why can't we be teammates with the university and Golden Dunkers and really build this thing out to a whole new level? I think we can. But are you building or are you tearing it down? We've got to go ahead and build. And 3 things when we talk about building. At junior college, Joe, Flip Saunders came up with a great idea, he thought. And he said, "Hey, here's what we're going to do." He took a 2x4 and cut it up, went ahead and wrapped a towel around it, and then taped that towel on there. And he said, "We're going to go ahead and have you guys do Gophers pushing that." Well, you can't push a towel on a 2x4 across the floor. So we'd get to the free throw line and back, and half court, and our backs were killing us. We said, "Flip, this ain't working." And that's the kind of thing that, hey, You can have great ideas, but you gotta go ahead and be able to expand on them so it works. I remember when we were at the University of Minnesota and they put 10 minutes on the clock. I said, I can do anything for 10 minutes. Well, they said, here's the deal, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna do killers or gophers, you're gonna do them and you're gonna get done inside of 30 seconds. Then you get 30 seconds to rest. I said, well, that's simple. And he said, oh, one other thing. If you don't all get done as teammates, all 10 killers under 30 seconds, no big deal. We're just going to put another 10 minutes on the clock. Oh, man. You're killing me. Now, I look over at Brew, 7'3", Gary Holmes, 6'11", and I'm like, dudes, I am voting for you. You could run for president today and I'd go ahead and vote for you. Man, you can get it done. Let's go. So the first couple, I did it in 22 seconds. I still remember this day. 22 seconds, I was flying out of the court. Well, that was stupid, because by the fourth or fifth one, they had taken all the oxygen out of the Williams Arena, I think, because I couldn't breathe. So here I am the last 5, and I gotta go ahead and do these. And then I look over at the others, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna put 10 more minutes on the clock. We made it, and we did it together as teammates. I bring up another thing Flip had told us about when they were teammates back in the day. Bill Musselman would work them pretty hard, 2.5, 3-hour practices. And one time he got a little concerned about if they were really running as hard as they should. So he said, here's what I'm going to do for you guys. We're going to put a bucket under each basket, and when we have enough people that I think are thrown up under those baskets, we'll probably stop running. I said, Flip, seriously? He said, absolutely. That's my Bill. I have another Bill Musselman story, but we don't have much time, so I'll wait on that one for another day. You know, there's 27 million people that have played basketball over the course across the United States this year that are involved in leagues and other things. And how do we reach them? How do we go ahead and get them? I say that there's spirit in sport, but we want to go ahead and do it through togetherness, through all the things that we do, and everything that we have out there. And the next letter in teammates is enthusiasm. And I think, hey, think about those last 4 letters. IASM. I am sold myself. If you're sold in, if you do all the things you need to do, whether to build out the Golden Dunkers, to go ahead and have a team that can go ahead and work together, win championships, if you put your heart into it and learn the different things. When we run a play, everybody's got to know that play. If you don't know where Brewer is going to be, or you don't know where Joe Dawson's going to be on the junior college, or et cetera, that play's not going to work because we aren't going to know where each other is. So we got to build out and be able to develop that way. We also got to go ahead and figure out, how do we raise this enthusiasm level? How do we go ahead and take it to a new level? Because it's really needed in our environment here in the U.S. We need to go ahead and cheer each other on, not tear each other down. We also have A for action. I kind of think of a cross, cross longer this way, shorter this way. And I was doing some training, and this kid is just going back and forth, but just going this way, east and west, not north and south. And I said, son, what are you doing? He said, I'm setting him up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be able to get by him. Setting him up. And I said, no, the hoop is down there and the hoop is down here. We don't want to spend much time east and west. We want to be getting north and south. We want to go ahead and make the things that can happen because we're in the game and getting to where we go ahead and make something happen at the hoop. My son called me from college and he says, Dad, this is not working out. I said, well, what's going on? He says, they just aren't treating me like, I should be starting. I should be going ahead and, I get that. Okay, so what I want you to do tomorrow, go to center court and look to your left and look to your right. He says, okay, Dad, I will. So he calls me back the next night and I said, so did you do it? He said, yeah, I did it. He says, well, what did you see? Well, Jefferson was over there and he's working hard because I know he's trying to get to the league or either that or get overseas. And we have a kid here that's a freshman. He's trying to get onto the second team at least. He's right now on the third team and he's trying to do all these things. I said, isn't that interesting? because you looked to your left, because you looked to your right, you all of a sudden saw where your need is. It may not work out for you, but you can go help others go ahead and get to new levels that they never thought they could. I had a kid come to our program. He says, I just want to make the team next year. He had been cut the year before. I said, how hard do you want to work? And he said, hey, I'll work as hard as I can. I said, okay, we're going to instill in you these drills and these opportunities, but you need to go ahead and give the effort. He gave that effort, and he came back after the next season. I said, how'd it go? How'd it go? And he said, you know what? I was MVP of the team. He went from not making it to being MVP because he worked hard, used the drills that we could give him, and made it happen. And we can all do that in whatever we're trying to do. It's our action that can take us there. Our mission at Spirit and Sport is to meet people where they are and take them where they need to go in body, mind, and spirit. I know that there's a mission here in this room for Golden Dunkers, and to grow it, get more alumni, and get others involved in it. And I wondered, I've got 3 ideas that I will throw out, but I won't do it here today, but I'll send an email of some possible ways to maybe do that could help the Golden Dunkers and hopefully get others involved in it. Our overall mission was to win the Big Ten Championship, and that took us through Iowa. And the Iowa story I want to leave with you here today is, Randy Brewer had a death threat. It was the only time I was worried that I might be mistaken for Randy Brewer. At 7-3, Anyway, so we're in the game. First time up. Coach Dutcher sits down in front of the team, and everybody's there. Brew's at the other end, at this end. So we, of course, all slide over here because we're not going to be anywhere near Randy Brewer. And Dutch looks around and says, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh crap! He sees us doing this. We're moving away from Brew." And he says, "Get over here." And so we kind of move over a little bit. He says it again, so we end up all getting around. But it was crazy what they it was the death threat. That's kind of serious. And then the next thing that we did after we beat them in triple overtime is we got free drinks. Yeah, they threw water on us, pop on us, everything. They just threw it all on us to go ahead and get us out of there. And we went back and went home. And that was championship week that we were involved in then. There's a basketball player that missed over 9,000 shots, lost 300 games, and missed 26 game winners. And he's the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. So we got to show some mercy to each other. That's the other next letter in my team. It says we got to go ahead and figure out how can we be merciful to the guys that are around us and yet build up the community as a whole. Jim Peterson was playing, and he was having a struggle that game. Ball going through his hands, missing shots, etc. He was really down after. He was actually in tears. And the next day we all, got around and said, "Hey, we're going to build this thing up. Don't worry, it'll come." And a couple days later, he had the best game of his life. It's just because teammates came together and said, "Hey, we're not letting anybody drop off. We're going for it." I had someone tell me, "We don't win the Big Ten Championship if you didn't come on the team." And I said, "Hey, you had hardly any time. How do you say that?" But on the flip side, they said, "Yeah, because every day in practice, you brought." They used to. There's a guy that was named Jack Tatum. He's with the Raiders. "Hey, I'm going to hit you hard. I'm going to hit you twice." My daughter would go, and when you talk about tenacity, as we get to that part, I'll tell you about my daughter and what she did. But in college, coach was just talking about 1 of 2 shots. That's doing great. 1 of 3, he said, was not good enough, but 40% was on threes. Think about that and how that will go ahead and change your perspective on showing a little mercy to all that we need to do. And then you got to have an attitude of gratitude. See, otherwise you need a checkup from the neck up, is what they say. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when others were walking by, the person was injured on the side of the road, and 2 went past because they thought, if I stop, what will happen to me? He said that the Good Samaritan said, if I don't stop, what will happen to them? So we have an outward-looking life that we go ahead and spend and do what we can. There also was, the David and Goliath story, and everybody's heard, but, Goliath, and everybody looked at it and said, that dude is so big, he can't kill him. David can't do anything with him. But the flip side was, David looked at him and said, he's so big I can't miss. So that was how he took it, and that's where they went. On the tenacity side, I pick on my daughter a little bit, but she used to step on people, then come back, step on her again, and say, yeah, that was me that stepped on you the first time. I mean, it's just get after it, let's go, let's make something happen. And I say that, there's a lot of things there's tenacity in coaches. I mean, back then, Bobby Knight was tenacity. In fact, he yelled at me. He yelled at me during the game. So what happens is there's a couple minutes left in the game, 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Not that I know for sure, but I know. And so I'm going into the game. So there's a ref down here, there's a ref across from me, and then the ref that's going to hand the ball to our players who are going to bring it up the court. So the ref across from me waves me in, so I'm coming in. So I start in, I look up and I go, oh crap, they're bringing the ball down the court. We're 6-on-5, baby, and it ain't hockey. So I'm like, what? And then Bobby jumps up and says, what the hell are you doing? I said, he waved me in. He just looked at me and shook his head. Another one was with Sid Hartman and Bobby. They came down after a game when they won, of course. And Bobby says he wants to talk to the team. And Dutcher looks at him and says, there's only one person that talks to my team, and that's me. And that's it. He sent him on his way. I mean, those are things that we got to keep an eye on as far as the tenacity, the Jimmy V thing. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. And that's what we got to do here at the Golden Dunkers and beyond. Last two is excellence. I always look to Matthew 5:48, because that is, be perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect. We're all perfect, but then we fall short sometimes. What does excellence look like in this? Is we're going to get a full arena. I've heard the numbers of what may or may not be happening at that level. We need a full arena, and when I send that letter, I'll send it off. I think there's a lot of ways to do that. I think we can go ahead and make that happen, and we can make it happen quicker than anybody ever thinks we could. But there are going to be some things we got to do. And we also have the deal with, as far as the NIL and all the things that are happening there, and how do those buckets work. But it can be done, and we need to drive towards that excellence. And Big Ten championships, we played Michigan here. We beat them Michigan State 54-51. Not our best game. But then we came back against Ohio State, and it was game on, and we absolutely did wonderful. It was just because we just really put everything together and made it happen. And finally, sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice does it take to win a Big Ten championship? I remember when I was, Minnesota winters, not very nice. Went out without any gloves, 3 basketballs. Kept 2 in the closet, went out with 1 till we couldn't dribble anymore. Went and got the next one and the next one. And I'd be working on trying to go ahead and make all sorts of shots and that kind of stuff, but cold. I mean, it could be 10 below when I was out there and working on that. In fact, my neighbor across the street said, Kelly, we're so glad when you finally quit basketball. And I said, well, thanks. That's really nice to hear. And I said, why? And they said, well, we were so tired at night going to bed and hear dribble, dribble, swish. Dribble, dribble, swish. And it was dribble, dribble, swish, Joe. Don't even try. I know what you're thinking. Don't even say that. I shot kind of a knuckleball, and Flip called me Wilbur Wood, and I said, hey, read it and weep. It's going in, baby, so you get ready for it. That's kind of the way we have to do that, too, is everything in teammates is we sacrifice, we make the things happen, remember that togetherness and that enthusiasm I have sold myself, all the things that we can put together and make positive things happen. And let's take it to the next level, and today let's cheer on the Gophers to a great victory. Thank you so much for your time.